The sun has dipped below the western rim of the earth, leaving behind a long, soft bruise of violet and gold that slowly fades into the deep indigo of a summer night. Here, far out upon the wide, calm waters of the inner sea, the world has grown very quiet. The busy harbour, the shouting merchants, the creaking cranes, the dust of the roads has dropped away over the horizon. There is only the sea, the sky, and the broad wooden ship that carries you safely through the dark. You have found your place for the night near the stern of the vessel, high up where the air is clean and the breeze carries the sharp scent of salt and dried pitch. You have spread a thick woven mat of straw upon the deck planks, and you draw your heavy woolen cloak close about your shoulders against the cool night air. The timber beneath you is still warm, holding the deep heat of the midday sun like a hearth that slowly cools. If these lamplit hours bring you some peace, you are always welcome to return. Subscribe, and I shall keep a lamp burning for your next night in old Rome. As you rest your head upon your pack, the whole world begins to sway, a long, slow, rhythmic lift and fall. The ship does not jar or roll. She simply rises with a gentle, sighing majesty over the crest of each smooth swell, then sinks down into the cradle of the water, over and over again. The great mast, rising like a dark pillar amidships, traces a lazy arc across the sky, bowing to the stars and then returning. And below you, along the thick oak planking of the hull, the black water whispers and slaps, a steady murmur that never ceases, the sound of the sea talking to the ship, telling you the vessel is moving steadily, safely, homeward bound through the night. This ship is a sturdy creature, a broad, deep-bellied merchantman built to weather the great waters and carry the wealth of the world across the empire. Her hull is stout and round, fashioned from thick planks of pine and oak, fitted together with thousands of tiny wooden tenons and sealed tight against the sea with dark, aromatic pitch and boiling wax. Above the deck, the great central mast rises into the dark, stayed by thick ropes of twisted hemp that hum low in the wind like the strings of a distant lyre. A single immense square sail is set, its pale canvas fully bellied out, drinking in the soft, steady wind that follows her out of the east. Over the bow, a smaller yardarm slants forward, carrying the artemon, the little foresail that guides her head and keeps her steady on her course. At the very back, where you rest, the stern rises up in a magnificent sweeping curve, lifting high above the wake like the tail of a great water bird, and ending in a beautifully carved swan's neck, a graceful wooden arc that looks back over the dark water you have travelled, watching the long line of white foam fade into the night. Down in the deep, silent hold beneath your feet, the cargo rests in the darkness, packed tight and heavy, giving the ship her steady, purposeful weight. The smell of her rises around you in the cool air, aged wood, salt-crusted hemp, the sharp tang of pine resin, and the sweet richness of olive oil and dried figs. It is a whole world contained within a few spans of timber, floating safely in the middle of a kind and quiet sea. Just a few paces from where you lie, the helmsman stands at his post. He is the gubernator, the most trusted man on the vessel, the one who holds the lives of everyone aboard in his calloused, quiet hands. He does not stand at a wheel, for such things are unknown in this age. Instead, he governs the ship with the two great steering oars that hang down over the sides, one on the left quarter and one on the right. These massive oars, their broad blades deep in the water, are balanced on heavy leather grommets, and the helmsman stands between them on a raised platform near the carved swan's neck, his hands resting easily upon the long tiller bars that project forward. He does not need to move them much tonight. The wind is so constant, the sea so smooth, that he merely keeps his palms pressed against the polished wood, feeling the pulse of the sea through the timber. He is an old sailor, his skin lined by decades of sun and salt, swaying with the motion of the deck like an extension of the ship itself. Every now and then he leans his hip against a tiller to correct the heading by a fraction, answering the slightest change in the breeze or the run of the swell. He does not speak. He does not need to. He simply watches the dark horizon, listens to the song of the rigging, and guides the great ship through the pathless water, like a father leading a child by the hand. To find his way across this vast, dark plain of water, the helmsman looks neither to charts nor to instruments, for there are no magic needles aboard this vessel. He carries the map of the sea in his mind, the memory of every headland, every shallow reef, the old spoken descriptions of the shores passed down from one sailor to the next. But tonight, with the land far below the horizon, his map is written in the stars. He looks up into the great, clear vault of the sky, where thousands of silver points of light burn undimmed by the smoke or glare of any city. High in the north, the two bears wheel slowly in their eternal cold dance. The great bear and her smaller companion, the little bear, turning silently around one quiet, unmoving pivot in the heavens. There is no single bright star to mark the pole in these centuries, but the sailors know the empty space around which the sky turns, and they read the alignment of the pointing stars with practiced, knowing eyes. The helmsman glances to the bright chain of Andromeda hanging to one side, and over his shoulder to the red eye of Antares glowing low in the south. And he knows exactly which constellations must sit over the starboard bow, and which must follow the curve of the stern to hold the ship on her true path toward the great ports of the west. The stars have been turning in this manner for 10,000 years. They are a glittering, silent clock, telling him the hour of the night and the way to the harbour, guiding the ship safely across the calm Roman Sea, the Mare Nostrum that the Empire calls its own. Near the foot of the steering platform, in a small sheltered alcove carved into the wood of the deckhouse, burns a tiny flickering light. It is an oil lamp of red terracotta, its wick floating in pure olive oil, casting a warm golden glow against the dark timbers. This is the shrine of Isis Pelagia, Isis of the sea, the gentle goddess who guards all those who go down to the water in ships. Her small image stands within the alcove, one hand raised in blessing, her robe gathered and knotted at her breast in the likeness of a ship's sail drawn up in the wind. Every sailor aboard reveres her, for she is the one who calms the fierce winds of winter and opens the sea again for the merchant ships when the spring returns. And each year, when the sailing season begins, a ship is launched and given to her in thanks. You can see a few small offerings set before her feet, a handful of dried figs, a little cake of barley, a few seashells from a distant beach. The flame of her lamp sways gently with the motion of the ship, casting long, soft shadows across the deck. But the wooden sides of the shrine shelter it from the breeze and keep it burning steady and bright. The sailors know that as long as her lamp burns, her watchful eye is upon them. She is the protectress of safe voyages, the one who stretches her hand over the dark water to ensure that the timber holds and the wind stays fair and the journey ends in a peaceful harbour. Looking at that small, steady light, you feel a deep sense of safety settle over you. The vastness of the sea is no longer lonely, for it is filled with her gentle, protecting presence. Beyond the little shrine, out in the great dark expanse of the water, lives Neptune, the ancient lord of the deep. Tonight his kingdom is entirely at peace. The sea is not an enemy, but a kind and generous host, holding up the heavy wooden hull of the ship upon its broad and powerful back. The water stretches out for hundreds of miles in every direction, a vast breathing plain of deepest blue and black, moving only with the long, slow respiration of the earth. Earlier, as the sun was setting, the master of the ship took a small terracotta cup filled with dark, unwatered wine, carried it to the side of the vessel, and murmured an old prayer of thanks as he tipped the dark wine into the sea, a small gift of gratitude to the ruler of the deep. Now in the dark, you can feel that quiet favor. The waves do not break against the bow, they part with a soft, respectful sigh and let the ship glide through, as if the sea itself were helping her along. The great deep is full of an ancient majesty, a quiet world where the land dweller is only a guest. But tonight, the guest is welcome. The water moves in a slow, comforting heave, a cradle that has rocked 1,000 ships before this one, and will rock 1,000 more, all of them sleeping safely under the care of the gods. Looking up toward the very top of the great mast, where the dark spar of the yardarm cuts across the stars, the night air seems to shimmer with a faint and mysterious beauty. The sailors speak often of the Dioscuri, the divine twin brothers, Castor and Pollux, placed among the heavens as bright stars and made the special protectors of all seafaring men. On nights like this, when the air is warm and the sea is calm, a soft, pale light will sometimes gather on the tips of the yardarms or about the masthead, a gentle, cool fire that does not burn but glows like the light of a distant moon. It is the twins' own light, their silent promise to the crew that the weather will hold fair and the ship is under divine keeping. The sailors greet it not with fear, but with a quiet, reverent gladness, whispering a soft welcome to the sons of Jupiter as they go about their work. They are the guardians of the rigging and the watchers of the sail, carrying the ship ever closer to her home while the world sleeps. The ship is quiet, but she is not deserted. Forward near the bow, the crew keeps the silent watches of the night. The Magister, the master who manages the business of the voyage, sleeps below in his small cabin, resting after the long day of checking the lines and watching the horizon. But on deck, a few sailors remain awake, moving like shadows through the dark. Their feet are bare so that they can feel the texture of the planks and the shifting balance of the ship with perfect certainty. One man stands at the very front of the vessel, leaning against the sturdy bulwark of the bow, his eyes fixed on the dark water ahead, watching for the far shape of another ship or the low shadow of an island. Another sits cross-legged at the base of the mast, a coil of hemp rope between his knees, slowly running its length through his fingers to be sure no salt rot has touched the strands. He sings to himself, a tune so low and soft it is nearly lost in the sound of the wind in the sail. An old sea song from the islands of Greece, a slow, repeating melody. There is no urgency in their movements, no shouting, no fear. They work with the quiet ease of men who have spent their whole lives upon the water, bound together by the shared life of the deck, keeping watch so that the passengers and their sleeping shipmates may rest in peace. Deep within the cavernous dark belly of the ship, beneath the thick planks where you rest, lies the true purpose of this long journey, the cargo. The hold is packed with hundreds of heavy clay amphorae, each shaped upon a potter's wheel and filled with the rich golden olive oil of Africa or the deep red wine of the Aegean hills, packed so tightly in beds of dry straw and sand that they cannot shift or break as the ship rocks in the swell. Beside them, coarse canvas sacks are piled high, brimming with hard golden grain harvested from the fertile banks of the Nile, bound to be ground into flour to feed the great city of Rome. This ship is only one small thread in a vast invisible web of timber and canvas stretched across the whole of the inner sea. In this high summer of the empire, the sea is one great safe Roman lake, free from pirates, open from end to end. The grain that grew in the hot sun of Egypt travels safely to the tables of the West, while the glass of Phoenicia and the marble of Greece cross paths in the dark. It is a quiet marvel to think of it, how the labour of farmers and potters on far distant shores is carried here, moving silently across the black water in the care of a few sailors. The heavy, sweet smell of grain and the rich tang of wine seem to seep up through the cracks in the wood, a comforting reminder of the abundance of the earth resting safely in the dark beneath your head. Scattered across the wide deck, wrapped in their own cloaks and blankets, your fellow passengers are fast asleep. They form a small accidental community, gathered from different corners of the world for just a few days, sharing the same wooden floor and the same sky. A few feet away, a merchant from Antioch sleeps soundly, his head resting on a leather sack that holds his account books and samples of fine cloth. Near the deckhouse, a soldier returning home on leave lies stretched out on a rough wool tunic, his bronze helmet tucked beneath his arm like a pillow, his face relaxed and peaceful in the starlight. Further down, a young mother holds her small child close against her breast, both of them wrapped in a single large mantle of grey wool, their breathing rising and falling in perfect time with the slow lift of the ship. There are no titles here, no rich and no poor in the darkness. All are equal beneath the great roof of the sky, all subject to the same gentle wind and the same kind sea. Each carries a story, a reason for the crossing, a home they are returning to, a family waiting on a distant shore, a venture they hope will prosper. But tonight, all those plans and memories are laid down, and they sleep the deep, unbroken sleep of travellers who know they are safe, trusting in the strength of the ship and the wisdom of the helmsman who watches over them. As the ship moves on, you think of the many other kind spirits that fill this warm, dark water. The sailors believe the sea is alive with gentle powers, all working together for a fair passage. There is Venus, the beautiful goddess born from the white sea foam itself, who smiles upon sailors and grants them smooth water and favourable winds. There is Portunus, the old keeper of quays and harbours, already waiting at the journey's end to prepare a calm basin where the ship may rest her weary timber. And down in the cool dark depths below the keel, the Nereids, the lovely sea nymphs, daughters of the ancient sea god Nereus, are said to play in the long wake of the ship, riding the dolphins and guiding the wooden hull away from hidden rocks and shallow sands. Even the ship herself has her own spirit, the Tutela, her guardian genius painted in bright colours near the bow and carved into the wood of the stern. Tonight, all these unseen protectors seem to be in perfect harmony. You feel their presence in the utter absence of danger, in the soft cradling motion of the deck, and in the steady, reassuring hum of the wind. The world feels small and warm and safe. A great room where the sea is the floor, the sky is the ceiling, and the gods are the watchful guardians, keeping out the cold and the dark. Looking over the side of the low bulwark, you notice a strange, magical light stirring in the black water along the hull. Wherever the ship parts the sea, and all along the swirling line of the long wake that trails behind the stern, the water glows with a pale, ghostly fire. It is the living light of the summer sea, millions of tiny, invisible creatures in the water that burn with a soft green-white glow when the wooden hull disturbs them, laying down a path of liquid silver that follows the ship through the dark. It looks as though the stars above have fallen into the sea and are being spun into long, glittering ribbons by the motion of the vessel. Then, with a soft, wet rush of air, a dark shape rises from the water just a few yards away and sinks back with a gentle splash. It is a dolphin, its smooth, curved back gleaming in the phosphor light as it rolls through the swell. Another follows, and then another. 3 of them swimming alongside the bow, playing in the pressure wave of the ship, matching her speed with effortless grace. The sailors believe that dolphins are the truest friends of seafaring men, signs of good luck and divine favour that come to escort a ship safely on her way. They do not stay long. With a final silent leap, they turn back into the deep indigo of the sea, leaving only the trailing ribbon of silver light to follow you through the dark. The sky above has turned a shade more deeply black, and the great band of the Milky Way, the heavenly river of milk, stretches directly overhead, a wide, luminous highway of countless crowded stars that cuts the sky in two. The constellations have climbed higher, wheeling evenly and slowly as the night advances. You lie perfectly still, your eyes tracking the slow, majestic motion of the ship's mast against that silver backdrop. The top of the mast moves a hand's breadth to the left, crossing a cluster of tiny stars, then pauses and swings slowly back to the right. A giant pendulum measuring out the quiet hours of the night. There is no sound from the land, no sound from the world of men, only the eternal, comforting textures of the ship, the smell of the salt-crusted rope, the gentle creak of the oak timber as it flexes with the swell, the soft hollow boom of the canvas sail as the wind shifts by a hair's breadth and fills it anew. You draw your wool cloak tighter around your neck and bury your chin in its warm, rough folds. The air is cool, but your bed is warm, and the steady, unceasing motion of the deck beneath you has become a part of your own body. You are no longer a passenger upon a ship. You are a part of the vessel itself, moving with her wood, breathing with her sail, rising and falling with the great kind heart of the sea. Far out on the horizon, low down where the black water meets the dark sky, a single tiny point of yellow light appears. It is a beacon, a lonely fire burning on some distant headland or small rocky island, tended by a solitary watchman through the night. It is too far away to reveal the shape of the land, but its presence is a quiet comfort. It tells the helmsman that he is exactly where he ought to be, that the ship is holding her true course across the wide basin of the sea. The ports of the world are all asleep now. The great harbours with their stone moles, their white temple pillars, and their crowded rows of moored ships, all silent, waiting for the dawn. There is no need to hurry. This merchantman moves with the timeless speed of the wind, unconcerned with hours or minutes, carrying her people through a night that seems to have no beginning and no end. The single distant light twinkles once, twice, and then slides slowly behind the high curve of the ship's bulwark as she glides onward. There is time enough for everything. Time for the night to deepen, time for the sea to roll, time for the ship to carry you home across the quiet miles of water. Your eyes are growing very heavy now. The stars above seem to soften, their sharp silver points blurring into gentle pools of light as your eyelids flicker and sink. The little terracotta lamp in the shrine of Isis still casts its warm, golden glow, but it seems further away now, a soft beacon of safety growing dim and quiet in your mind. The whispering water along the hull has slowed to a long, deep murmur, a lullaby that has been sung for thousands of years to every traveller who ever trusted their life to a wooden ship. The great ship carries you on, stable and heavy and secure, cradled in the hands of the helmsman and the care of the gods. You let go of the day, you let go of the journey. The swell lifts you up, light and weightless, and carries you gently down into the deep, dark, peaceful waters of sleep. The wind is steady, the sea is kind, the watch is kept. You are safe.